Hello everyone, I'm Christina and I'm scoping weekly about my organic garden located in San Diego, Southern California, and I simply love to share the joy of gardening with you. So today's broadcast will be about my latest drought-tolerant plant purchases. But before I go there into detail, I just want to talk quickly about the weather here. Of course, every gardener knows how important the weather is for the well-being of the plants and maybe even also for the well-being of the gardener. So San Diego does not seem to get out of the heat wave. So it's kind of not even a heat wave anymore. It's kind of, just have to have my little notes here so that I get the plant's name correctly out later. So what I was about to say is it is hot, hot, hot. So today it is about to get 91 degrees Fahrenheit, and right now it's 88 degrees Fahrenheit, which means it is 33 degrees Celsius, and right now it is 31 degrees Celsius. That actually is pretty hot for September. So that being said, the climate since we live here, which is about 8 years, has changed so much. It's just getting hotter and hotter. We are in a severe drought since 4 years, and I think every gardener is forced to look more into drought tolerance plants that can make it in the different climate now. And of course, it's not only hot, it also hardly rains. For the people who don't know yet, Southern California and California in general is in a drought since 4 years, and it seemed to just get worse and worse and worse. So that being said, as an introduction, I will show you which plants I have bought lately. By the way, the little blooming rose that you are seeing now is Pink Pet, which is doing amazingly well in this heat, and it's blooming and blooming in my health strip bed, which is a bed, very small garden bed. I will try to show you. Again, I have the same problem that I had last time. The sun is shining from the back on the screen of my phone, and I hardly can see what I'm showing to you. So I'm just moving by this bed. So this is my health strip bed, and at the end of it there is a first plant that I would like to show you. So this plant, let me just see, now we are getting into the shade, and hopefully now there is enough light for you to see clearly. So this plant is planted in the ground about 2 weeks ago, and I'm fairly impressed with this, even though it doesn't look too good right now. I have to say, I was traveling right after I planted the plant, and when I came back it had, you see maybe here, basically its leaves look like that. So I don't know if the person who was looking after my garden did not water it enough, or the plant was suffering from transplanting shock, I don't know. But as you see in the middle, it makes tons of new leaves, which is absolutely astonishing in the heat that we are having since a couple of weeks. And of course, now you want to know the name. The plant is called Stachys officinalis Hummelo, or I found another name, which is Stachys monieri Hummelo. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And the common name is Betony. What is really interesting in this plant is that Stachys, I always think about lamb's ear. You know, I think about Stachys byzantina, the classical lamb's ear plant, the silver-leafed, fuzzy lamb's ear plant that almost everyone knows. So these guys are relatives, but this one obviously looks very, very different. And the nice thing about it, it has lavender rosé flower stalks that look a little bit like a salvia, even though the plant itself doesn't seem to have anything to do with regular salvias. I have 2 more plants of this variety, and one has some flower stalks left. So if you stay with me, I can show you actually how it blooms. But again, I just wanted to point out this plant has already proven itself because it survived in my health strip. You see, if I move a little further, like how it is wedged in between a white garage wall and then the concrete, so it's awfully hot, and it suffered, but it comes back, and I really have a good feeling that this plant will do here, so which is great. So let me just turn to the other side and show you the next new plant. This one actually, my husband and I, we just planted today in the morning, or I would say it was already noon. And maybe some of you know this plant. So this is Verbena Bonariensis, or purple top verbena. Sorry, so again, Verbena Bonariensis or purple top verbena. And as you can see, this plant has very delicate light lavender blooms. They are supposed to be really favorites of butterflies. And I just hope that is true, since I saw a beautiful admiral butterfly today in the morning in the front garden. But I have to say it didn't visit this verbena. So this is brand new. What I like, if I go a little bit further back and you see the structure of the plant, it's a very airy plant, it's a see-through plant. And that's ideal for the place where I have planted it, because if I turn a little bit to the right, you can see, again, I hardly can see my screen because of the sun, but you can see there is a rose planted in the background, a white rose, which is white Meideland, if you are interested. And the verbena is supposed to grow 3 to 4 feet high, which is nice, so it will fill out here in a very pretty way. But I can have a plant cast more shade on the rose in the back, because I planted it too much in the shade already anyway. So we will see how the verbena will do, if it's getting that tall, what will happen. And also I heard that this plant can have problems with powdery mildew. I also heard that this plant can be invasive in certain parts of the country. So I will see what it will do in my garden. What was funny, where the verbena is planted, I had planted some gladiolus corms, and in the morning what really prolonged the process, as usual, something is happening when you're gardening. My husband was digging and he found the gladiolus corms, so we had to take them out and plant them somewhere else. So what hopefully will be nice, the gladiolus are very, very dark purple, and I hope they will complement the verbena plant nicely. So let me move on to the next. We are passing one of my favorite roses, so I will just stop by for a second and show you the Prince. Wonderful rose. The fragrance is totally amazing. It's kind of an old garden rose fragrance, even though it's a modern rose bred by David Austin. And you see, or I hope you can see, how beautiful the color of this rose is. This crimson color. It has so much depth. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous rose. And it's flowering, guys, even in this heat, which is great. So let's move on. We are passing salvia. What is the name of this one? It just slipped. And I think, oh yeah, it's Mystic Spire's Blue. So yeah, I was going blank for a second. Still blooming nicely, and I tidied it up a little bit. I cut some stems down, which you can see here, so that later in the season I hope I get some more blooms from these shorter stems again, and the salvia is not becoming so untidy. So now we go to the left, and what we see here is, that's actually not a totally new plant purchase. This is a daylily, and I just have to look at the label. So it is Hemerocalllis Gentle Shepherd. That is a white flowering daylily, and it's one of the whitest daylilies that you can get. The ones who are already a little longer with me know that I absolutely adore white flowers. And in the daylily world, it's not so easy to get them. I had bought one that was described as white, but when the daylily was actually blooming, it turned out to be quite yellowish and almost a little bit of a dirty off-white yellow color, which was very disappointing to me. But I have seen this one in flower, just one bloom, and I had to have it. Daylilies are definitely considered to be drought tolerant. And we go to the left, and here is my next new plant purchase. I don't know, let me just move this a little bit. It's still in the container and not. Just wondering if I get it. Yeah, I will put it a little bit in the sun so that you can see it better. So I didn't know that plant at all. I don't know if you have ever seen it. So it is Liriope muscari super blue, called Liriope muscari super blue or lily turf super blue. And it's almost a little bit like a grass-like plant with dark green leaves. It is supposed to do well in part shade, and you can see the flowers are really pretty. At least I think that way about it. I think I can hold it to the rose that's growing here, blooming here to the side. I think these two colors will really go nicely together. Let me just come a little closer. So this light, soft lavender color with the rose. And I put it back where I intend to place it. It will replace a Plectanthus ciliatus mona lavender. When you have seen my shows, you know that plant. It was really absolutely not withstanding the drought. And where these two containers are here now, the Plectanthus was planted, and I just ripped it out a week ago because I just couldn't stand it anymore. This grass-like Liriope muscari super blue is supposed to grow, I think, 3 to 4 feet high, which I think will fill the space very nicely. And I'm just curious what it does. It's supposed to grow in part shade, so I just hope that this is a good condition for it. And this is not marked as a drought-tolerant plant, but it is said that it can tolerate drought. So I just hope that it will do well in my garden. Let's move on to, but before we do that, again, I just have to show you one of my favorite roses, Our Lady of Guadalupe. It's blooming and blooming and blooming. So just in case you joined in a little later in the show, I'm talking today about my new plant purchases, mainly about my new plant purchases, but of course if I come across a nice bloom or so, then I have to show them to you as well. So here again is a plant that I already presented, which is the Stachys officinalis Hummelo or Stachys monieri. It seems to go under 2 names. And here, I mean, they are almost bent, but you can see there is a nice rosy lavender flower stalk. So this is what they look like. The one behind it is over, but at least you get an idea about the color. And again, very lovely, fresh green, crinkly leaves. I think I'm going to like this plant a lot. And we're moving again a little bit to the left. Here is my really favorite blue terracotta sphere. I think they add so much to this part of the garden. But this is just a side note. So the plant that you see behind it is, again, it's another Verbena Bonariensis, a true drought-tolerant plant once it is established. And I think you can see very well the airy nature of this plant. So if it grows well in my climate, I think that's definitely a winner. I'm so happy that I found it. And by the way, this is not from a fancy nursery. This plant is from Home Depot, and I think it was $12 and something. So I think it's reasonable price, which cannot always be said of plants. And I just want to say I'm definitely for buying plants at nurseries, especially at individual-owned nurseries. But sometimes I also have to go to the big box stores to buy cheaper plants. And lately, I honestly have to say, I have found that Home Depot, which is one of the big box stores close to me, has really spiffed up their plant selection. I really have found good plants and even little unusual plants there lately, which surprised me quite a bit, so which is good. So we are moving on to the next plant, and not much to see right now, but the ones of you who are keen gardeners know immediately what I'm showing here. So and here I have set up the description of the plant. So these are bearded iris rhizomes. So these are dry rhizomes. I just planted them today in the morning, and I think what's a cool thing, they just attached the label of the plant to the dried up old leaves. So the funny thing is that I can hardly read the name. Let me just face here, which is something else, and I read the name of this one. Okay, so this one is called Rio Vista. This is a light lavender iris, and I think it will go very well with my cool color scheme that I have in my front yard. And if it grows well and blooms well, I think I would be very happy. And then the next one, this is a label that was attached to the back. This is actually, the variety is called Clarence. No idea if that's a good one for my climate or not. You cannot necessarily trust what Home Depot or even the nurseries are carrying here. It's really trial and error. I have bought irises here, bearded irises here that didn't grow at all. So it's hit or miss, but I'm happy to try it out. And you see the rhizome looks pretty healthy. It was really a thick rhizome, and I hope you can see that this here in front is already are new leaves that have started to grow. So then there's a third one that I bought. This is the variety is called Best Bet, and I have to say I had that variety and I lost it in an area where there was not enough drainage, I guess. And I know that this is an absolutely awesome flower. It's fragrant. And one thing I also want to mention, since I'm talking about bearded irises here, for me it is important that they rebloom, because I have a small garden, and whenever I can I get plants that are reblooming, so that I not have flowers once in the season but a second time. So all these three varieties, Best Bet, Clarence, and also Rio Vista, they are supposed to be repeat blooming irises. Here is my, we're leaving the irises, and please keep your fingers crossed that these guys do well for me, and I will show you their progress weekly. I'm also curious how fast they will grow or not. Here again I have the third plant of the Stachys officinalis Hummelo, or Stachys monieri. It goes by two names, unfortunately. And I just recall the common name is called Bitoni. I don't know if you know this plant. If you know it, if you have seen it already or have it in your garden, then I guess you are lucky, because it's really supposed to be a very good garden plant. I don't know why I haven't seen it before. It's just, you know, sometimes they are kind of fashions what nurseries are carrying, so I just saw it and I grabbed it and I picked it up. I didn't know that it's probably a very good plant for my climate, but only the time will tell if that's true. Okay, let's just move on. I will show you the last one, just another example of the Liriope muscari super blue. Another pot, and you see also this one is blooming nicely with this lavender colors. One thing I also want to say, I think for any garden it is a good idea not to buy just one plant of a variety, but a couple, and plant them you know, in short distance, basically repeat the same plant. So I think that brings more restfulness to a garden. For me personally, most gardens really don't work where there's just one plant of each. So you have a repetition of the colors of the flowers, and I think it just makes it much more calm and also more impressive when you have a couple of plants of the same variety blooming at the same time. So that was, we are almost at the end of the show for today. I will just show you one last rose that is blooming, which is a miniature rose. It's in full sun, lavender, one of my favorite colors in roses, and the name is Lavender Crystal of the rose. Has a nice fragrance, and I just have planted it here a couple of months ago. This is not an easy location because if I turn to the right, you can see that there are two huge queen palms. Let me see, I'm under a pygmy date palm. So here are the queen palms. You can see how tall they are. And if you dig where I just pointed to, everything is full of palm roots. So just going back to my little rows, you can just follow. So the palms may be away 6 feet, 7 or 8 feet, but definitely where this rose is, there are so many roots. So I'm really happy that this little baby is doing well here. So I hope you enjoyed my show today. And I would like to say again that I periscope weekly about my organic garden. So if you like what you have been seeing, or if you just have come in later, please see the replay, become a follower and see the replay so that you can see the show from the beginning. And if you're also interested in photos of my garden, I'm writing a garden blog called organicgardendreams.com. I repeat, organicgardendreams.com, dreams with an S, that's very important, otherwise you don't get to me. Please pay me a visit, and I hope you see some nice photos there and enjoy maybe reading the blog as well. Thank you so much for your attention. I'm already looking forward to the next periscope, which will be again next weekend, either Sunday or Saturday. But if you become a follower, you get a tweet, so then you know when I'm scoping, and if you can't see it live, you can just see the replay. Many thanks for watching, and I wish you a very nice rest of the Sunday here in America, and a good start into the new week to all of my viewers, and I hope I see you next time around. Bye bye.